After Guru Nanak Dev Ji's encounter with Akal Purakh Parameshwar, his life in Sultanpur completely changed. He still had a wife, he still had 2 children, but he knew that his mission was calling him out beyond the bounds of Sultanpur. And so together with Mardana, he left on his first big, long walking tour, which is called an Udassis. And his first Udassis, he went to the east, and he went to the major centers of Hinduism and was there to confront the dogma and the entrenched thinking that had really rooted itself in Hinduism. One of the great stories is when he was in Hardwar and was bathing in the river, and there's a tradition that during the bathing ceremony that you offer water to your ancestors. You throw up the water to the ancestors, and you do that. It's part of the prayers. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji went into the water, and as he saw all the other sadhus offering the water to the rising sun to the east, he turned to the west and offered water to the west. And they said, "Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, he says, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, this is our tradition, and we're offering water to our ancestors." And he says, "Well, I'm offering water to my fields in the Punjab to the west." And they said, "That water is not going to reach the fields." And he said, "Well, your water is not going to reach your ancestors." And so by being confronted with this type of clarity, they understood and accepted it. So again, it's another beautiful example of how his words were spoke at such a frequency and such a vibration that they entered the hearts of those that listened to him. He went on through this Udassi all the way into the parts of Assam, up through Kashmir, and up through the areas where the yogis lived. And he went into the Gorkanath yogi areas and sat with the yogis and had some beautiful conversations where the yogis would ask him questions, not questions that were from their heart to know the answers, but questions more to test him and to try to trap him in their form of logic. So these questions that the yogis posed to Guru Nanak and that Guru Nanak replied are captured for us in the Siddh Gosht. And so it's really wonderful to be able to see into the mind of Guru Nanak. The yogis of that time period had really a stranglehold on the population. Their whole methodology, which was born as a technology towards enlightenment, had somehow been sidetracked into Siddhic powers, black magic, into a form of control. And so many of the yogis had this type of control over the population and in many ways terrorized them. So people were afraid of the yogis. They would never, if a yogi was begging for alms, people would never consider of not giving because they would be afraid of a curse. And so the whole concept of the Nath yogis had devolved into this type of behavior. Guru Nanak Dev Ji approaches this straight on, and he really talks to them about the essence of yoga and about the need for the yogis that instead of being distracted into the powers and into the black arts, instead to seek that merger with God and to use the technologies of yoga to really be at the feet of God. And in these meetings with the yogis, you can see that they start to understand what he's saying, but still they challenge him that how can you, a householder, how can you really speak to us with this authority? And then he explains back to them the beauty of the path of Nanak, which he is a householder, there's no doubt. He's a father, he's a husband, he has a cozy home. But at the same time, his heart and his energy is all connected to the one, and he draws from the one all of the knowledge of life, all of the bliss of life, and he explains this to the yogis in a way that they realize that in their path, by setting themselves apart, they've just put themselves in a position where they can't access the bliss that Guru Nanak is talking about. And so Guru Nanak's lectures to the yogis is something that we can look at today. He was talking to the Gorakhnath yogis, the ones who were renunciates in the mountains. But honestly, how different is that than in this day and age, those that are out giving money as their main god and their main goal of life, locked in that pursuit of money, which is always comes to lacking, which is never enough, which is a diminished returns. Guru Nanak's message to the yogi is just as appropriate to us today in the interlocks that we have with Maya, as the yogis did during the medieval times. And so Guru Nanak, taking his beautiful technology, his beautiful words, which penetrated the hearts of the listeners, changed the reality of life on the planet every place that he touched.